Hello, my name's Tate Thomas, and this is my speech for Cheryl Stanton's speech class. And today I'll be talking to you about the sport of calf roping, how it originated, some of the tools it takes to do it, the different levels, and some of my experiences with the sport. But it originated out back in the 1800s, probably the second oldest event in rodeo. Guys would have calves and cows out in the pasture, and they would be alone, needing to go catch them and doctor them. Well, when you do that, you have to get off your horse to get the calf or cow down, tie its legs together, and then give it the medicine or whatever it needed to make it better. That came from ProRodeo.com, and as but today the sport of calf roping is still used there in the pasture, and but with it's performed in the arena as a pretty speedy event. It takes usually 7 to 8 seconds to win something at most rodeos, and it just is the most intricate event in rodeo. It starts out behind the barrier. If you break the barrier, it's a 10-second penalty. The barrier is tied around the calf's neck, and it'll pull a pin, and if you, to release the barrier, and you can go through it, but you want to be close to that barrier because that's when your time starts. From there, you go and you rope the calf, and then you have to leave it standing or bring it to its feet to flank it. And then when you flank it, you want to probably catch the front leg, put your string on the front leg, gather the back two, and tie them together. Throw your hands up. That signals the time. Then get back on your horse, ride up, and wait 6 seconds to see if the calf stays tied. If the calf comes untied, it's an automatic no time. But that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but when it happens in motion with no mistakes, it's a lot of fun to watch. Some of the tools you'll need to do it are a horse. Obviously, you need a horse that scores good, as in it needs to sit flat in the corner of the box, and then leave when you want it to leave, run fast, and stop pretty smooth, where you can get the calf turned around in a standing position, and you want that horse to be pulling the calf to you almost, where it's a little bit easier for you to flank the calf. And because our sport comes down to tenths of or hundredths of a second to place and win money. I mean, a hundredth of a second could be thousands of dollars. It's crazy. But then another thing is you'll need the right tools, such as ropes and strings. Ropes are a big deal. You need to find a rope that you're comfortable with, the size and I guess diameter of it, and then how limber or stiff you want it, whatever feels comfortable to you. You want a rope that's strong, because I've had several ropes break and everything when you rope the calf and your horse stops, because that's a lot of force. I mean, it's a 1,300-pound horse and a 200-pound calf most of the time, but it when you get caught in the middle of that, sometimes it'll break your rope. But another thing you need is strings. You need to find a string, same as a rope, that you're comfortable with, that will go around the legs tight, but as well as fast. And also, Trevor Brazil talked about this in the Team Roping Journal. The head stalls and tie downs that you use, just some of the equipment. The bit and head stall needs to be able on their head and built comfortable to the horse. It doesn't need to be pinching them or anything like that, because they're probably opt to not work as good if they're not comfortable. And the tie down, I like to use it where they can stick their nose out a little bit, where they can run a little bit more. It just kind of depends on the horse. If the horse wants to run too much, you kind of tie their head down a little bit where they're a little bit more collected. If they're a little bit what we call short and don't run up there as hard and stop a little bit quicker, you let them have their head a little bit more where their nose is out, where they're supposed to run more. But other things are saddles, and you want to put saddles and saddle pads are a really big deal, because if your saddle is pinching that horse in any way, it can cause them to be sore, and the pad will prevent that from happening. So you need to have a pad with a lot of cushion that will sit that saddle on that horse's withers where it's comfortable. And then in conclusion, the levels of the sport. We all start out going to junior rodeos and doing different events. We don't all start out necessarily tying down. we what they do is called breakaway roping, and it's evolved into a very very tough sport now. It used to be just kind of women at amateur rodeos and kids at junior rodeos, but now it's um, at pro rodeos for women and everything, and it's been great. But it is an event where it's the same as a tie down rope, and you just don't have to get off in time. You rope the calf, and your rope breaks away from the saddle horn, then the time stops. So obviously, you need to work on catching the calf, but from there, you move on to junior high rodeos, and then you kind of work towards end goals. And right now, like I'm almost to where I want to be to go buy my pro card and go and rodeo. And just there's so many things that go with calf roping and all that, but it's just crazy is the only way I can describe it. But thank you, and I'm Tate Thomas, and I hope this was informative to you.